So I'm on the West Highland Way near Solochy just for a wee night's test of the Easton Carbon 2-person tent. A good excuse just to get away for a quick night and test out some gear. I think this looks as good a wee spot as any, to be honest. The wind and rain's meant to get up later on, so it'll be a good test of the tent. But we'll go for this one. There's actually not an awful lot of grass lying about. It's a wee bit, reminds me of American campsites where they tend to be a bit dry and a bit worn out, but we'll sure be able to squeeze this wee tent in somewhere. So this 2-man tent is just about 1 kilo if you take away the bags and the extraneous bits and pieces. Mainly due actually not to the fabric, but more actually to the carbon ion poles, which are about half the thickness and a lot less weight than the average dark aluminium type frame. So we'll get this up and see how strong it looks. Certainly a good 2-man size ground sheet actually. It's pretty damn big. The only disadvantage in Scottish weather being that it's in our first pitch and the rain is looking like it's coming, so I better shift on here and just get this thing up before the next shower. As you can see, it's mostly mesh for the inner, so it's not one for the winter. But the poles are all one piece, so they all go together collectively. There's no separate poles, just joined up by hubs, and then a wee bit of tension at the front here holds the main spine upright with another wee eyelet at the back. Nice wee view for the night, but unfortunately with the wind I've turned the tent away from the view just because we're expecting high winds tonight. But anyway, that's the poles up and the tent clipped on. Looks quite tidy and quite tight, which is encouraging for tonight. So we're up, fly sheets on, looks relatively taut. Don't know how stable it'll be. The main concern is that one spine in the rear there, because they often tend to buckle in winds that are off centre. As you can see here, the slight warping in it. Other than that, it looks pretty taut and it looks pretty roomy. We'll get a wee look inside. That's me just offloaded all the gear into the tent, and not particularly tidy, but as you can see that's one mat line in the middle. It would easily take 2, and the width is maintained for the full length of the tent, which is quite good. So pleased about that. Vestibule, not so large, enough to take at least one pack or maybe a couple stacked on top of each other. But cooking in here, you'd think you'd have to move quite a lot of gear out of the way. But other than that, yeah, very spacious. It's got a nice feel inside because of the yellow fly sheet. The only downside is it appears to be attracting a lot of beasties, which you can't see at the moment, but when the wind dies they really seem to go for it. Anyway, looking good. Not a bad wee spot view from your tent. Even if the weather isn't playing ball, and it looks like it is getting gradually worse. Don't know if you can see me here, but inside it's quite spacious, so plenty of headroom above me here and quite a nice width as well. I'm sitting bang in the middle of the tent, but with 2 of us we could easily sleep side by side, so far so good. So that's the rain just on, although it's quite a nice airy place to spend some time, as you can probably see. Lots of room. The yellow gives a nice interior ambience. I'll take you around and show you from looking out towards the top of the tent. Although the midges are already all over the inner. I don't know if you can see them up there, but they're dancing about here, probably inside and outside the mesh. But my fault for 9 o'clock at night. Raining on and off, but it's not too bad at the moment. Even the wind has died a bit, which is a bit of a shame because the midges are out. But tent's all sorted. Looking fine. It stretches a wee bit in the rain, so I've tightened it just a wee tad. Other than that, looks fine. A couple of nice tents there. Hilleberg and MSR Asgard. That's a few pounds, all in all. So after dinner I thought I'd just get a wee stretch of the legs and try and shake off the dinner before I retire later on. So I'm just taking a wee wander further north along the West Highland Way here. Always liked this wee bay here. Ever since I had to land on it in a kayak and we got stuck and couldn't get back across to Luss. That's a whole new story, I'll tell you sometime. The rain's really coming on now. That up there I think is the Glasgow University research station, but somebody I'm sure will correct me if I'm wrong. Well, as you can probably hear, it's 9:30 and the rain and the wind is well and truly on. So I've retired in here for a wee beer and I listen to the radio, see if we can catch the last of the France and Germany game. So, although the signal's a bit dodgy, so it may just have to be radio rather than streaming telly, but hey ho. Anyway, we'll see how the night goes and see how this weather picks up. If nothing else, it'll be a good wee test of the tent. Just got a wee candle on. It's around about midnight, just putting a wee candle on for some heating to dry out some of the moisture. Don't know if you can see it in this light. Anyway, it's time for a kip. So it's 6:45 on Friday morning. It was a very wet night, no wind, but actually rained relentlessly, so I had a good sleep, and the tent was nice and airy, despite all the rain. I don't know if you can see it, there's a lot of spray back on the ground sheet from the rain bouncing off the mud, but the inner tent has stayed dry, and I've stayed dry, so all in all, a successful wee overnight trip. So there we have it, people. First night in the Easton Kilo Carbon 2P, and a good night it was too, despite the rain. Very comfortable, well ventilated, nice large interior, certainly for one person anyway. And we'll make some further videos when we get a chance to use it, maybe in some more extreme weather. But good start. Thanks for watching.